Okay, everybody, we're group two, consisting of Mahad, myself, Rafiq, and Isaac, and we'll be presenting FuseCap, leveraging large language models for enriched fused image captions. It is authored by Rothstein and Associates from Technion, Israel Institute of Technology. It currently has 119 citations and has been accepted into WACV 2024. So in our presentation, first we'll be talking a little bit about the motivation behind this paper. Next, we'll talk about the caption fusion process from which it gets its name, which is a process of leveraging visual experts, utilizing an LLM fuser, and then generating a data set. Lastly, we'll discuss evaluation, first qualitative evaluation, and then quantitative on FuseCap trained models. So first, the motivation. As we know, captioning is a valuable capability of visual language models, where the capability for that model to caption is largely dependent on the data used. Unfortunately, since these models require a lot of data to be trained, in order to get data at that scale, we have to scrape the web for image text pairs. But web scrape image text pairs usually have low quality captions, so the resultant model captions often overlook details and are pretty generative. In order to fix that issue and amend and enrich the captions by hand, that wouldn't really be feasible at the scale of like millions and millions of image text pairs. So what FuseCap does is it contributes a framework for improving caption quality automatically without human assistance. They also provide a large-scale data set of image text pairs with these enriched captions, where it's 12 million pairs from assorted other caption data sets, but the caption has been enriched using this FuseCap framework. Next, I'm going to show a little visualization comparing captions. So here you can see the captions provided by OFA and Prismer for this image of a motorcycle. You can see it's very general. Next, there's GIT. There's a little bit more information. You have the color of the motorcycle. Blip2 is similar in terms of slightly more detail. And finally, there's the FuseCap caption, where you can see there's a lot more detail, not only including the color of the motorcycle, but also the material of the seat, the sky and its color, etc. So the way FuseCap accomplishes this is it takes, and this is just a general run through, we'll go through each of these in a little bit more detail soon. But what it does is it takes this original image caption pair, it feeds the image through an ensemble of vision experts. There's a detector, which extracts objects, an attributes extractor, which provides attributes for the detected objects, and an OCR module, which provides text if present for any of the detected objects. The features from each of these vision experts are fed into an LLM that is fine-tuned to perform fusion with this original caption, and the output is this enriched caption that utilizes the information from these vision experts. So first, I'll talk about the object detector. It's a simple faster RCNN with a ResNext 152 backbone. Here's a depiction of the faster RCN architecture in case you need a refresher. This faster RCNN is pre-trained on multiple object detection datasets and then finally fine-tuned on visual genome, with the end result being the object detector having knowledge on 1.6 thousand classes. Finally, when objects are detected on the image, they utilize a threshold of 0.7 for each of these bounding boxes. So if the confidence of the detected objects doesn't exceed 0.7, it isn't used. Next, we have the attribute detector. What this is it reuses the faster RCNN from the object detector, but they attach an attribute classification head to that object detector. And all an attribute is, it's just a descriptor for objects in the image. It can be something like the size or the color, usually some kind of adjective. And here's an example pulled directly from Visual Genome. which is the data set they use to get these attributes. So you can see here the name of the detected object is pan, which is correct, and the attributes here are metal and empty, which are both descriptors of the pan. So as I said, this attribute detector is fine-tuned using Visual Genome. Visual Genome provides 2.8 million possible attributes, but they only fine-tune on 400 of them. And here they use a much lower threshold of 0.2 for attribute prediction, with the idea being that an object can have multiple attributes. So you want to have the threshold be less limiting to capture more of them. Finally, there's the text detection module, and that's comprised of two models. First, there is Craft Character Region Awareness for text detection. This is a convolutional architecture that provides bounding boxes around words or characters. In the paper, they use it for words. Here you can see an example where, given this image comprising of multiple words, it generates bounding boxes around each of the distinct words. And then finally, there's Parsec, which is scene text recognition with permuted autoregressive sequence models. And this is an encoder-decoder architecture for OCR. And if you're not familiar with that, that's an optical character recognition. And what that does is it crops the image to where this bounding box has detected a word. So each of these would be their own input. And it feeds that into this encoder-decoder architecture, and the output is the actual text. So if you fed in this bounding box, the output should ideally be the word cold. And when the paper uses this, they do a unique assignment of text to objects. So what that does is it uses bounding boxes which contain the given text. So for example, this word cheese, let's say there was a bounding box around this to detect the wall, and maybe a bounding box around this entire picture to detect the storefront. It assigns the text cheese to the object with the smallest bounding box that encloses the word cheese, with the idea being that that is the most closely associated object to this text. So that's how they handle the uniquely assigning the text to objects in the image. And next we'll have Isaac to discuss the LLM fusing process.
Okay. So now we have the problem of taking the output from these three visual expert models and actually fusing them into a single coherent caption. And so that's kind of the main focus of this paper is this LLM fuser. The whole framework is FuseCap, but this LLM fuser is what they actually train to do this fusing. And so they do that in a few steps. First, they use ChatGPT as their language model to generate a small data set, but they don't want to use that for the entire 12 million data set because maybe because of pricing or just API reasons, but they want to be able to use an open source language model. So they generate first a small data set, just 20,000 samples for fusing, and then use that to train this open source Flan T5 model, the Excel variant, to give a similar output as what ChatGPT would have given if given the same visual expert outputs. And then finally, we'll use that trained open source model to generate 12 million enriched captions to give a large scale data set with these valuable enriched captions. So a little bit more detail here. We're going to feed this image into the object detector. That's the key one because it's going to give us the bounding boxes for the relevant objects in the scene. And then we can also give those object bounding boxes to the attribute detector. That will further give us the adjectives and descriptors that Anthony was talking about, giving us size or color or material. And also the OCR is going to give us any text in the image. And then we compare that with the original caption from the image, which is usually pretty short and not very detailed. And we'll insert that into a prompt template, which I'll show in a second. And that is what we're going to give to ChatGPT to generate the small data set of fusing captions. That'll just be 20,000 samples. So here's the ChatGPT template. First, we just say caption of the image is given and insert the original caption. And then we say the following objects are detected in the image from left to right. And we will just list them in this format. And so the format here is the O represents the object. And so that's just going to be the object. And the A's here are potential adjectives or attributes that are taken from the attribute detector. And so they'll just be listed there in front of the object as adjectives. And there's also the potential for this OCR detected text to be within the bounding box of this object. And that's when we'll list it there if it's applicable. And so we list those from left to right, just all the objects in the image and their attributes and text, and just say write a comprehensive and concise caption of the scene using these objects. And so that's what ChatGPT does for our 20,000 sample data set. And we'll use that to train this or to fine tune this open source Flan model. We take it and fine tune it from this T5XL checkpoint, and we target the enriched captions from ChatGPT for the fine tuning. So we're taking all the exact same outputs from the visual experts. That part is not changing, and also still taking the original caption, but we don't insert them into a prompt template. This time we just concatenate them and give them to this open source LLM, and then fine tune the output to be similar to the ChatGPT output for those 20,000 samples. And then finally, we have the trained model. So we'll take a large data set, a collection of images from not just COCO, which is human annotated, but we have conceptual captions, CC12 and SBU, which are web crawl data sets as well. And so we'll put those through the similar process, getting the output from the visual experts, giving that to our fine-tuned LLM, and that will give us the detailed fused captions with information about the objects, their attributes, and any text in the image. And so now we finally have this 12 million data set, FuseCap data set, then we can use it to train other models like Blip. And so in the paper, they use the original Blip training framework, which consists of the image text contrastive loss, image text matching loss, and the language modeling loss in the pre-training stage. And then they fine tune it only on the enriched captions with the COCO data set with the language modeling loss only in the fine tuning stage. And then another change that they do is they increase the context length to 60 tokens from the original 30 tokens so that we can better capture these increased length and increased detailed token or captions. And so here's an example of some of the enriched captions that we'd be using to train these other VLMs, in this case, Blip. And now Rafiq's going to talk about experiments.
Okay, so we're going to discuss some of the evaluations done by the authors to validate their idea of using enriched captions for training vision language models. So they begin with qualitative evaluation, where they conduct human studies and they get 40 participants to evaluate 400 different image caption pairs. And they ask them, does the caption provide additional meaningful and truthful description of the image compared to caption 1? So caption 2, here we have an image, and caption 1 here is the original caption with the COCO dataset, and here the caption just says, some clouds in the sky. It doesn't really give detail about the image. And caption 2 here gives more enriched information talking about the car, the woman, and just more things in the scene. They perform quantitative evaluations through calculating clip score. And in this case, they're using a pre-trained clip to find alignment between text and image embeddings. And this helps with ensuring that the generated captions actually provide more details. So here they calculate a mean clip score and also a voting score. The voting score in this case is used in the instance where, provided an image, the model is provided two captions, the original caption and the enriched captions, and it is asked to pick which caption it prefers to use. And in both instances, in the clip score calculation and also voting score, we see that using the enriched data improves the overall performance of the vision language model. They also perform image text retrieval task here with different Blip models. Here we have a original Blip model trained using the same images as the FuseCap, but the captions are the original captions of the image pair. Here, a larger Blip model which uses 129 million images for training, and also a blip2 model. And in comparison, the blip model that is trained on the enriched FuseCap data set has considerable performance improvements compared to these other state-of-the-art models. The authors also considered how these trained models would perform in generating captions for the images. So in comparison to the slide that we just previously saw, the baseline blip model here that we see that it has like significant reduction in performance here for image to text and text to image. And for the blip FuseCap, the blip model that's trained on the FuseCap dataset, here there's still some reduction, but not as drastic as we see here in the original blip model trained with the original caption dataset. And also for the text to image retrieval here, there's actually improvements in this case. So the authors also considered the clip score for image captioning. Here we have the different state-of-the-art models that we saw earlier, and also including these OFA and GIT and Prisma models here. Here we see many of them are trained on large numbers of images like the blip L, and also the GIT that uses 800 million. And so the blip FuseCap, the blip model trained on the FuseCap dataset also performs better here. So here are some images of just the captions that are given by the different state-of-the-art models, and also the blip model trained on FuseCap. So here the description is just pretty basic for all the other ones, but FuseCap goes into details about what the man is wearing, and also the dog and the horse, and just more images of this. So finally, the authors considered the scenario where the model is either pre-trained on the original data sets or pre-trained on the FuseCap datasets, and then later fine-tuned either on the original datasets and the FuseCap or the FuseCap datasets. And in each scenario, the fine-tuning on the FuseCap model and also pre-trained on the FuseCap model helps improve the overall performance of the vision language model, in this case being blip. So overall here we are introducing the FuseCap dataset, which uses visual experts and uses the LLM to fuse the information that is extracted from the visual experts to generate more enriched captions for images when training vision language models, so they perform better when doing text alignment, image to text retrieval, or that downstream task. But this is our presentation of the FuseCap model. Thank you.